a lot of gay men still have a fetish for a straight guy. And so someone who's bi is kind of in that realm a little bit, in my personal opinion. Like how society views it, that is, not how I personally see it. But in that position, that I can understand how gay men might see it as a quest to go on, in a sense, trying to play on the word queer quest, but not in that way. It's not that kind of a quest. But I think you can understand what I'm saying. Like, it can be seen as like, oh, okay, if I get this, it is this. And also in the same sense, when it comes to bisexual men dating women, there might be a perception of this guy is gay. He's not fully open to coming out, and so it can be harder for them to date women if they're open about their bisexuality. Because I've also talked to girlfriends in the past about would they date someone who's bisexual, and majority of them have said to me, no, like, this is a gay guy. Like, he's not fully out yet. He can't admit it. He can't be open about it because, again, there's a lack of full understanding around the bisexuality. Welcome to the Queer Quest podcast, your beacon of light and sprinkle of glitter in the queer community. I'm your host, Christiano Green, CEO and founder of Queer Quest and a transformation coach for queer individuals. And together, we're embarking on a journey of transformation. Each week, we bring you a new training topic or connect you with visionary queer leaders in healing and coaching, diving deep into conversations that inspire growth, celebrate diversity, and empower you to live authentically. So wherever you are, settle in and let's get ready to unlock the vibrant potential within. This is where your quest begins. Hello, you fabulous souls, and welcome to this week's episode of the Queer Quest podcast. I'm your host, Christiano Green, the CEO and founder of Queer Quest, along with being a queer transformation coach. So this week on the podcast, I'm going to be talking about navigating queer relationships and intimacy. So this topic is something that I think is important for us to talk about because there is such a varied amount of different kinds of intimate relationships that we can have within the queer community. So, of course, when we talk about the queer community, I'm talking about anything that's outside of being a, cisgendered, heterosexual human being, right? Who is in a, male to female relationship in that realm. So anyone who is gay, who is, lesbian, who is bisexual, who is pansexual, who is transgendered, non-binary, gender fluid, gender non-conforming. Also, when we look at it, I'm talking about people who are, polyamorous, have different kinds of relationships. You could be in a throuple, right? Because those are outside of these standard normal things. So I class that all under the queer realm because I believe that we should, as much as we have our own separation and we are different, it's great to be part of one overarching community because when we want to move forward, we want to grow, we want to evolve, it's great to be part of a community that's also understanding what it's like to be different in this world, in this day and age, is amazing for us to be able to show up as authentic human beings, but it's also can have its own challenges. So having, a community of people that are supporting each other which is why I define myself as queer and supportive of the queer community, which is why, like I said, I am a queer transformation coach, helping people from all of those spectrums as well. So looking at that there's a lot of diversity. There's a lot of differences there that you can see when it comes to those kinds of relationships. So that's kind of what we're going to be covering today. We're going to be understanding queer relationships, understanding intimacy, and also we might be talking a little bit about, the struggles that you might face, but also some of the amazingness that you can have when you really truly embrace yourself and focus on what you want out of life as well. So let's kind of talk about it. So of course, when we're looking at relationships, now I'm sure a male-on-male relationship is going to be very different to a female-on-female relationships. Now, we know growing up in society, they're viewed very differently. As men and women, we're viewed very differently. We also, have different energies, masculine and feminine. Of course, we get to go on a journey of embracing those, but we find that in relationships, there's going to be a lot of differences between that there as well, right? And so for someone who is also grown up in those communities, you might have to deal with your own internal struggles and the struggles that have been placed on you by society, right? So being a gay man with another gay man, there's going to come a certain set of challenges, right? And you might deal with that from society. You might deal with that from your family. You might deal with that from your community. You might deal with that from your friends, your colleagues, anything. There's a varied amount of areas where you can deal with some of that stuff. Or it also might just be a very internalized problem that you've been dealing with. So like internalized homophobia, right? On the journey of acceptance that we go through as queer people, one of those actual steps to getting to full acceptance is really dealing with the internalized homophobia or the internalized queerphobia that you have around you being different. And maybe, you go through some depression, some anxiety, you struggle with it, you try to bargain and really tell yourself that this is just a phase you're going through, you're just experimenting, blah, 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 all of that stuff that we've all told ourselves in the past. That's part of the journey. So going through that and then trying to find a relationship and have a successful, loving relationship with someone else who's been through that, you're probably at different stages as well. So holding on to and growing and finding people, finding a partner in that realm, very difficult, right? And I've helped hundreds of people in that space who've definitely struggled in the past, and we've helped them to get some successful, happy, long-term relationship, which is really awesome as well. Same thing would happen for, lesbian relationships. But of course, there's going to be dealing with different things as well, because again, society views lesbians differently to gay men, and it's a different struggle. So as women, oftentimes it's over sexualized. Oh, it's a fetish for men, right? So it can become with this real overarching, there's different struggles is what I'm trying to get at. And so really for women, for them again, they're going to have their own struggles coming into it. But of course, oftentimes women are much easier at allowing themselves to become emotionally open and to become more intimate with their partner. So sharing themselves on an emotional level. So for women who date women, and I'm not saying this for everyone, it can be easier for you to connect and bond with another partner. Now, I know that there's always this, that people say the thing of, women will fall in love and move in with each other after the first date, right? Because the overarching stuff of that, which I think is, very stereotypical and silly of that scenario. But I'm saying that is because I think the overarching thing is that women are automatically easier to be vulnerable and share their emotions, especially when it comes to other women. Whereas men on men who've grown up in that world of, boys don't cry, or, you've got to be tough and all of that, it can be harder for you to allow yourself to be intimate with another man, men to men as well. Even that, because I found growing up as well, personally, it was for me when I had friendships, because I only had a real relationship in 3 years ago, because I wasn't open to allowing myself to be intimate with men, especially emotionally. I found it so much easier to share my struggles, share my emotions with other women. Right. And that for me was something that I found easy to do. Even other gay men, I still struggled to do. I had a few friends who I could talk to, but still then there was issues on both sides there. So for me personally, I found it easier to talk to women. So that's another thing that we can look at. It's going to be differences there when it comes to becoming intimate as well. Now, when we look at the spectrum of, bisexuality as well, now this can be also tough, because if a bisexual person has got their own set of, stereotypes and issues that they face, right? For gay men who are dating bisexual men, there might be the fear that this is just a phase for them, or it might be a fetish for them in some senses as well, because, a lot of gay men still have a fetish for a straight guy. And so someone who's bi is kind of in that realm a little bit, in my personal opinion. How society views it, that is not how I personally see it, but in that position, that I can understand how gay men might see it as it's a quest to go on, in a sense, trying to play on the word queer quest, but not in that way. It's not that kind of a quest, but I think you can understand what I'm saying. It can be seen as oh, okay, if I get this, it is this, and also in the same sense when it comes to bisexual men dating women, there might be the perception of this guy is gay. He's not fully open to coming out, and so it can be harder for them to date women if they're open about their bisexuality. Because I've also talked to girlfriends in the past about would they date someone who's bisexual, and majority of them have said to me, no, I think, like, this is a gay guy, like he's not fully out yet. He can't admit it. He can't be open about it because, again, there's a lack of full understanding around the bisexuality. So I can understand there would be some differences and some struggles with becoming intimate and finding a long-term intimate relationship as a bisexual person as well. Again, these are not from my own personal experiences. Of course, I have coached bisexual people as well, both men and women, so I do understand some of that. But again, this is coming from the understanding that I have myself as well. So if you have differences that you think that I'm not sharing, comment below, contact me on social media. I'm happy to have an open discussion about this as well. But when we move into, say, the other spectrums, well, let's talk about, say, the gender stuff. So for people who are part of the transgender community, of course, that's an additional layer for them, right? Because, again, as much as, the world's becoming more and more accepting of, gay and lesbian humans, it's nowhere near as much of a struggle that it is today still for people who are part of the transgender community. So for them to find a real relationship can be really difficult, especially for people like, for example, you might be a transgender, you've gone from male to female, and you're attracted to men, cisgendered men, right? Now, for them, that could be a real difficult part for them to find a real intimate relationship. Now, like I said, I know transgendered people who do have successful, happy relationships in that realm, and I'm super happy for them, right, to be able to find that. But I also know that it can be a big struggle as well. Again, going through your own internal battle to come out as transgender has its own set of struggles and things to work through. But what we're talking about is to try to have a relationship where you are attracted to a certain kind of person that is not necessarily always going to be open and understanding, especially when we know out there, if, for the majority, it is the straight male that is the least accepting of most realms of things as well, in my opinion as well, my personal opinion. So I can understand how it might be different. Now, same thing, if you've gone from male to female, and you could be female to male, and you're interested in women, or you could be interested in men as well, there's still some struggles with gay men dating trans men, or like straight women dating a trans man, or you could be in a relationship and you're going to transition as well. And how does that affect your relationship, right? Well, a lot of these factors come into play. And so it can be a real kind of battle for you to find love, especially when you're someone who really is longing for it and looking for it and really wanting it in your heart, right? To really be able to have that. So that's something, again, as well, that is another layer that can pull you out from having a deep connection, finding a relationship, having that deep intimacy that you long for. That's really something to think about and to focus on when it comes to relationships. Same when it comes to coming out as, non-binary, gender non-conforming, gender fluid, whatever it is, there's always going to be a layer of people not understanding it. And so that's why you often find that, again, in these kinds of communities, people will date people who are just like them as well. They find other people in the community. Now, I know that's not always the case, and there's definitely many accepting people out there, and it's becoming more and more accepting. But I know how much it can be a struggle for you to find that kind of relationship when people don't truly understand who you are. And I'm sure for you, be in an intimate relationship, you want to be with someone who truly does understand you and your struggles, which is why, it can be, like I said, when we compare apples to apples, it would be easier for a lesbian couple or a gay couple to share their struggles when it might be for, say, gender non-conforming or gender fluid non-binary, because, again, it might be harder for you to find someone who is a match to you that's in that community. And so there again, I can see how, like, you're not necessarily looking for that, or you are, right? You might be wanting someone, again, if you're someone who's gender non-conforming, non-binary, you may not be wanting to find a relationship with someone who's not out there, or you may, right? Again, everyone has their own set of what they're attracted to or what they're looking for. And that's the thing. We all have to be aware that is something that we need to hold on to as well. So such differences there. When we look at it again on the spectrum, because like I said, there's so many things out there as well we're looking for. So I'm talking about, like I said, I'm not touching on every single. I'm kind of trying to grasp it into those different areas of like, sexuality or gender, and then also like the different kinds of relationships out there as well. Because again, people who are, for example, if you're someone who's in a throuple, from my understanding, it's not necessarily that you are always out there looking to be part of a throuple, right? You were probably in a relationship, and maybe your relationship was open, and you met someone, and you brought him into your relationship, and it just worked, right? Now, I'm not saying that's how it always happens, but I say from the majority of people I understand who are in thruples, it was never something that was planned. It was just how it went, and it worked for you, and that's amazing. So for that, it can be difficult, right? Especially if you're someone who's on the outside coming into an already established relationship where the couple have been together for a length of time, and you can see that they love each other. And for you to come in on the outside, I can see how that could cause some issues as well. Like, does this person, do they, like, is this going to last? Is this just a fling? What's it like on both sides? Like, is one person more into me than the other? What happens when is there jealousy there? Like, these will come with different things that will have to come up in your relationship related to intimacy as well, that you have to work through, right? Like, how did it start? Like, was it with one person who was with this person and then they fell in love, and then you bring them into the relationship and then that happens, right? And this is how things can get really entangled as well. And so it's interesting to talk about these things, because that is something that like is becoming more and more open out there, thruples. But when we look at, say, different kinds of relationships, like say polyamorous relationships, this is when you're in a relationship and you can have multiple different intimate relationships. So, I had someone on the podcast, a month or so ago who was polyamorous, and he was talking about how at one point he had 5 different relationships. So he had 5 different male partners. Now, that can be difficult to juggle, but also can be difficult to manage. And for someone who is, on the other side of it, who might be dating someone who's polyamorous, that could come with some issues as well that you have to work through and understand. Like, and as he actually mentioned, one of them decided that it was something that he could no longer do, which is totally fair and understanding, right? Because each person is different, and what they want from a relationship is different. How open they are to these kinds of different kinds of relationship is different, and each person has the right to kind of make that up for themselves. Doesn't mean you don't love that person. It just means that it's not necessarily right for what you are looking for in your life as well. And so that is why, like I said, really being able to understand and to navigate these things is important, because it affects how you have an intimate relationship, how you grow as a person as well, when you with your ideas of this. Because as you grow and evolve, and you get your seeing different kinds of relationships, your view on relationships will change. They might be different, right? Not everyone wakes up their first day of having a relationship and says, I'm polyamorous, I'm going to have 5 relationships. It might be that, for example, you're in a relationship and, for some reason, you and your partner decide that it's time to open up the relationship. Then you meet other people and you start getting connected to other people, and you realize, hang on here, I want more than this, right? With this person. And so you have to have these conversations with that partner to say, look, this is this and that. And I can see how it's going to work on some levels, and it's not going to work on some levels for some people. But as a person who's going through that, is as owning their polyamorous, that side of themselves, like, they have to do what's right for them. And again, oftentimes that might be that you have, like I said, multiple relationships, and each person probably meets different needs. They're not going to be cookie cutter. This is the same kind of person that you date. You're probably dating them because they give you different things. They meet different needs within you. They have different interests, and you are enjoying that part of it. Like, you get to show probably different sides of yourself with them as well, which is an important thing. It's like, I guess that's probably a huge factor. It's like, I get to be this way with this person, they get to be this way with me, and that fulfills this part of me. And then again, vice versa with this person and the next person, and you're probably feeling like you're feeling quite whole as well, because not everyone will find that they can fulfill all their needs from their partner, and you probably never should, right? Which is, in a world where every journey is unique, one path shines brightly for the queer community. Introducing QueerQuest, the first of its kind personal development platform designed exclusively for us, by us. At QueerQuest, we understand the multifaceted journey of queer identity. That's why we've created a space where you can explore, learn, and grow with the guidance of queer experts from around the globe. Whether you're seeking to enhance your physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual well-being, QueerQuest is your gateway to transformation. Imagine embarking on quests tailored to your journey of self-discovery, finding community, and unlocking your queer excellence. QueerQuest offers online courses, coaching programs, and soon workshops, seminars, retreats, and festivals, all designed to empower you to live your best life. Ready to start your adventure? Join us at www.queerquest.vip to become part of a movement towards personal and collective greatness. Sign up today to join the waitlist and be the first to know when we launch. QueerQuest, where your journey of self-discovery and transformation begins. Don't just dream of a life filled with pride and purpose, make it your reality with QueerQuest. Visit www.queerquest.vip now. Your quest awaits. Why we also have different friendships in our life that we can do different things with, right? I know my partner and me, we have some amazing things that we'd love to do together. There's also things that we enjoy to do separately. And that's why, like, I do things with different people. Now, again, for me personally, we're in a monogamous, happy relationship, right? And that's okay. But, you know, if down the track things change, I would be open to having that conversation and seeing what worked out, right? Because again, I believe that, like, there is so much variety in life and it has to work for both of you, what you want and what is important for you in that time. And again, as you grow and evolve and go through different stages of your life, these things will change as well. So really understanding that as well, and really like working through your stuff, because no matter what happens and where you're at in any of the spectrum on the queer community, you have to really be able to navigate your inner identity. You have to be able to navigate how you feel, what you've been going through, your values, your behaviors, your motivation as well. Like, where are you going in life? And is where you're at with your relationship, is that moving in the same direction? Because again, where it might have been 6 months ago or a year ago might be different now. And that's the important thing, that you have to keep having these kinds of conversations, because, you know, when it comes down to it, intimacy is not just sexual stuff. It's not just the physical, sex, boom, boom, that's intimacy, right? There's that one part of it. There's another one that's just like, you know, being in the same presence with someone, being able to share your day with someone, being able to share your struggles with someone, having someone to support you, right? Just being in their energy, right? Like, I know this from just the other day. I had to travel back to Perth and back from Bali the other day. It was like, I got up at 4 a.m., was on the plane at 7, was all there, came back. I got in at, 11 o'clock at night. And my partner was picking me up from the airport. It was peeing down rain. And he was like, I don't have another rain jacket. Maybe we should get you a car and I'll drive back alone. And I was like to myself, it'd been such a long day and I was stressed and emotional because of all the things I had to do. And I said, I just want to be with you. I'd rather just come home with you and get wet than to get in a car with someone else, because I just want to be with you. As soon as I got on the back of the car, it was raining for the first maybe 5-10 minutes, not a lot, but I just found it very purifying. I just was like, I was with him on the energy. I was just with him. We weren't talking because he was driving the scooter. I was on the back of it, but I just felt like, felt safe again. I felt secure. And to me, that's another layer of intimacy, just being with someone and knowing that you feel safe with them as well, right? You don't have to say anything, but just being with them. Oh, thank God I'm home. I'm with this person. So that's another layer of it that we have to work out as well. So really being able to see that and to experience that and to understand that, it's about really navigating for you. Like I said, the intimacy is physical, it's emotional, it is mental, it is spiritual, it is energetic intimacy, right? And if you're someone who really understands that, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. It's like a deep level of intimacy where you have all of that stuff there. And for you to improve your intimacy, you have to be willing to have, like I said, open and honest communication with building the relationship the way that you want, right? Like I said, the way that you communicate to one person will be different to another. So again, however your relationship is, you have to learn how to work with it within that person for you to build strong intimacy. Now, if you're someone out there who's listening, who is single, and you're like, you want to find intimacy with people, right? Again, I know that when I was single as well, I was getting certain parts of my intimacy with different people, with different friendships. Again, like, there would be friends with that I could, we would be much more lovey-dovey in the sense of hugging and doing things like that. And I was getting some physical intimacy, man, nowhere near the level that I was wanting, but that was that. But I was getting a lot of, say, my emotional and my spiritual and mental intimacy with people, because I had certain friends that I could really talk to, and we would hang out often, and we would share our wigs and our struggles and things like that. And I felt like I was being able to do that. Not to the extent that I wanted, but still able to at least find some intimacy. And then I had different friends who I did different activities with, where I was getting different levels of that. Like, I was feeling like, okay, I've got people to do this with, I've got people to do that with. So I was kind of making arrangements like that to be able to have different people in my life. And I'm so grateful that I did that. And I have some great friends out there that I still do as well. But like I said, when you find it with a partner, it's a different level, because again, you're open up to a whole new world of this. And like I said, you show your full self with someone, which is why I know that so many of the people who come to me are either really looking to find that, or in a relationship and they just wanting to bring more intimacy into their life, into their relationship as well, because it's a core human need. It's with what they call love and connection, right? That's one of the core human needs. And really deep down, the love and connection is intimacy as well, right? It's that real, like, if I feel love and connection with you, there's a level of intimacy that you have, right? And again, everyone has a different understanding or desire of the kinds of intimacy that they want. But it's important, like I said, communication is going to be the key for that. How do you match up on your partner? Do you have the same kinds of intimacy, right? We talk about the different kinds of love languages as well, right? Some people like physical touch. Some people like quality time. Some people like gifts. Some people like acts of service. Then there's also words of affirmation, right? You've got to understand each other so that you can provide intimacy to a person also in the form that they like it to receive it as well. But also you've got to realize as well, how do you like it, so that you can express that to someone else, because not everyone gets the chance to do that. So again, if you can understand when it comes to those different love languages, it's also going to be helpful as well. So often if you're struggling to do this and you don't know how to start a conversation, often look at your partner and see how they're expressing love to you, because often they're expressing love in the way that they want it back. Like, so my partner often does so many amazing things to me, for me, and because one of his big love languages is acts of service. So I have to often go out there and go, what can I do for him so that he feels that in the way that he wants, the way that he wants to receive it as well. Because me just being able to buy him a gift might be great, but he may not see that as receiving love in the way that he wants it. And so you'll see how there can be some conflict in that as well. This is why it's important, again, for us to really take note of intimacy for ourselves, have that conversation with our partners, have the conversation with those people that you're going on dates with. Don't think it's silly to ask these things on early dates with people, because I think the more you can be open and intimate with someone on a first date, the more it shows how emotionally intelligent that you are. And if someone can't handle that on a first date or a second date or wherever you choose to have the conversation, you're just realizing that these are not the kinds of people that you're meant to be with. Because if you're someone who really wants to find that intimacy, don't waste your time and go through months and months of dating to only realize later on that, hey, they're actually not going to match me when it comes to the kinds of intimacy that they're looking for, or if they're even open to being able to share themselves on the level that you want to be able to share yourself and have someone share themselves with you. So I trust this has been valuable here as well. Again, if you're someone out there who's looking to date and you're struggling with that as well, like I said, it's about figuring out what it is that where you're at in yourself. Are you completely 100% open and ready to be in a relationship? Now, you might think that you have been. I could say that it's from a place of deep understanding, because I had been struggling to find love for so many years. When I came out at 21 and I actually put myself out there, I had all these flings, all these things that would happen. Nothing was ever going to be long-term. Nothing ever felt like a proper relationship to me. I never was with anyone for more than a few months. I think 6 months was the longest, and it even wasn't that close of a relationship. So moving to where I was now, to where I've been in my relationship for 3 years, what I can say the difference is that I had to do a lot of work in the year to 18 months prior to getting in the relationship that I am in, to be ready for it, because there was a lot of unlayering of the onions, a lot of the peeling back the mask that I've been putting on. And really dealing with the emotional baggage that I had. Growing up, I got bullied a lot, and I suppressed that. I dealt with depression. I dealt with anxiety. I dealt with suicidal thoughts before I came out, And then some of that anxiety I've been dealing with for well over 10 years. I had to deal with the substance abuse issues that I had when it came to alcohol and to different drugs, right? I had to work through that stuff to get to a place where I was within myself a lot more happier and settled, and on a journey of healing and also on a journey of self-acceptance, right? When I was able to go through that and actually sort out all that stuff, I was able to realize that I was no way in a place where I was ready for a real relationship because I wasn't ready to truly let people in here, into my heart, right? And so being intimate means you let people into your heart, right? Especially when you're in a fear of because I was afraid of getting hurt because I was already really in a place of hurt and dealing with a lot of rejection. Now, if you're someone who struggles with rejection, you know how hard it is to put yourself out there because you're protecting your heart. So the best way for you to be able to move forward is to heal your heart and to go on a journey of that and go on a journey of self-acceptance and realize that there is no one out there who can reject you but yourself. And every time someone who probably had rejected you in the past, it added on to the piling of rejection that you've been doing to yourself. So we have to work on working through this, which is what I do with so many of my clients out there, is I help them to overcome their own stuff, get out of their own way, deal with their unworthiness. When we talk about self-love, there's different components. Is self-awareness, really truly understanding yourself on a deep level, how you come across to other people, understand the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to your life and what you are happy with and what you're not happy with, right? And there's also then the next level, which is self-worth. How can you build up your self-worth to a place where you can really look in the mirror and really say that you love yourself and you see yourself and you honor yourself and you want to be better? That's a big journey to go on. And I know it was for me, and I know it is for so many queer people out there as well. Then the third layer is the self-confidence. Now, the opposite of confidence is insecurity, and we all deal with so many insecurities. No one is perfect. The best of the best out there still are insecure about different things in different areas. So it's about using that self-awareness to understand what you're insecure about and really go on a journey of building your confidence up in those areas, especially if it's something to do with dating, relationships, intimacy, connections, right? That could be a struggle for you. How do you work on the skill set that you need so that you can become more confident? You can overcome those insecurities that you have. And then finally, it's about self-care. What are you doing on a consistent daily, weekly, monthly basis that's allowing you to truly care for who you are? And I'm talking about caring in your heart, in your soul, truly caring 100,000% about who you are and putting yourself first in almost every situation. And really also looking at it and going, how can I bring my best self to whatever I'm doing as well? So those are the things that we talk about when it comes to the journey of, say, self-acceptance and self-love. And when it comes to, relationships and overcoming that and bringing more intimacy, if you can't have all that stuff within you, how can you share that with other people and truly be intimate? So if you're someone, like I said, who's really trying to, like I said, you're in the bucket of trying to find a relationship and you struggled, this is where to start. If you're someone who's in a relationship right now and it's not where you want it to be and you don't know what to do, this is where you start. And as you realize when you go through that journey, like I said, I've seen it hundreds of times through so many of my clients in the past, then you get to realize that that is something that you are able to bring forth for yourself. And you can also then work through it and go like, okay, when I've dealt with this, I'm going to find a relationship that I'm ready for. Also, if I'm in a relationship right now and I go through that journey, I either get to see that this person in front of me is amazing, or I go and like I can become more intimate and closer with them, or I realize actually I'm in a relationship with the wrong person because that relationship was with a version of me that I'm no longer able to be. And that's okay as well. You're able to set yourself free and able to set them free to find the right person for you. So I trust this has been valuable for you. And I'd really love to hear your thoughts as always, because I love this topic. As you can probably see, I've been really going into it because this is one of my favorite topics, because I love intimacy. I love love. I love connections. I love relationships, right? So if you've got questions, you've got shares, you know where to find me. You can comment below. You can reach out to me on social media, and I'd love to hear from you as well. Other than that, I am going to be back here next week with another episode of the Queer Quest podcast. And until then, always remember that you have got this and I've got you. Bye for now. Are you ready to embark on a transformative journey towards love and happiness? Introducing the 21-day Gay Man's Guide to Love and Happiness. This isn't just a course, it's a pathway to discovering your true self, overcoming challenges, and embracing happiness. Join hundreds of gay men who found joy and freedom. Learn from Christiano Green, a coach with 20 years experience and a journey like yours. For a limited time, get this life-changing course at 75% off with a 100% risk-free guarantee. There's nothing to lose, but so much to gain. Your new life is just a click away. Enroll in the 21-day Gay Man's Guide to Love and Happiness today. Visit theglobalpridecollective.com and start your journey towards a happier, more fulfilled you.